What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
we are coming at you this morning or this afternoon. I'm in morning mood. Oh
Feels
no,
like morning to me too. Why is that?
I don't know. Is it because it's Friday? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe it's because it's so hot. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hot. It's pretty hot here. Although we had thunderstorms last night, which was good. So
Thank goodness. Maybe it's because I woke up at noon. No, I didn't do that.
you're just awake. But anyway, yes, hello everyone. My name is Ruth, and joining today is Kyle, and we're super excited. We're going to be doing some back to school themed design stuff with the brand spanking new Adobe Express,
Yes.
which is really exciting. So one thing to just let you know before we kind of get kicked off is if you are a school that mostly use iPads, down at the bottom, thank you so much, Kat, is a little banner. If you're on iPads, you need to go to a different link. So there's a different stream. So that's Dom, who normally does all this Adobe stuff. He is over there on his lonesome doing some iPad stuff because the iPad app and the browser version are very, very different at the minute. They haven't quite updated the app yet, but they'll get to that soon. So yes, do that. And then if you are a mixed media, so if you have a classroom that some people are on browser and some people are on iPads, we're kind of just recommending that you stick with us and just pair up your students. So everybody's using browser. I think that's the easiest, isn't it, Kyle? Rather than switching
Yeah.
over. Yeah, two streams in a classroom might be a bit much.
Bit
Um,
much.
a bit much to manage. But yeah, so we're really excited to be here. Obviously, for us, we're not necessarily back at school, but we are back at work, which is great. So there's just a few things that we need to let you know before we get kicked off, and I hand over to Kyle, who's going to start us off on our new Adobe Express journey. So the first thing to let you know is that Dom will be sending out an email after this. And if you do, or if you click on the link, or if you give him some feedback or whatever, you're going to get some free stuff, some
Ooh.
swag, as he calls it. I know, super exciting. What that free stuff is, we don't know because Kyle and I don't get any free
A
stuff.
new car. It's a new
A
car.
new car for everybody. No. Yeah, so just check your email boxes and you'll see that. And then if you share what you've created today, then you'll get to basically get into some very special VIP swag, which is actually quite good. So
Yeah.
again, that's just if you share what you've learned today. That's what you'll get. And then the main thing for us to say throughout this session is that if at any point that your class or some of your students are maybe a wee bit behind, or not necessarily behind, but want to take a wee bit more time on designing some stuff, you'll notice that you can pause this video. Kyle and I will have no idea. We're just going to continue talking. We're going to do this. So it's an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to do that. And if you're stuck, or if at one point we're going to get used to record voices and audio. So if you want to pause the video to do that, you can pause it, continue, and everything. And you can watch this at a later date as well, because this is being recorded. So that's really most of the stuff, isn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, although it's funny, sometimes when they pause, my whole body freezes up and I can't say anything. Is
You
that
can
normal?
sense it. He can sense it. It's like you get a little, like a little tingle. You're like, someone paused me. But yes, please do pause if you are stuck or need to get caught up or anything like that. And again, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to get a shout out, just drop a little comment and we can share that. So that's pretty much all the admin side of things that I need to do. So I'm very excited to hand over to Kyle, who's going to show us and get us started on what we're actually doing today as well.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Ruth. And by the way, again, just for those of you who may have joined a few minutes late, iPad stream is not here. Make sure you check out the link there at the bottom. Okay. And that is where you can follow along on the iPad. We're going to be doing the desktop or browser version here today for this exercise. So there you go. Now, another ticker is about to pop up here for you. This is for the link to access the page that has the information for the exercise that we're all doing together today. And I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. This is our back to school exercise today. It's going to be a lot of fun because this may sound like it's complicated, but believe me, it's not. You're going to love this. We're going to be doing some action and video editing for some back to school prompts. And this is going to be at the end a little movie that you create and can share with anybody you like. So we have this back to school page, and there's a link there at the bottom. And if you scroll down to the second page, you'll see that these are the 4 prompts that we all want to follow today. We're going to first create a background graphic for the video we're going to make, and I'll show you how we're going to do that in just a moment. But then we're going to be adding some text and filling in the end of each of these sentences. This year, I'm looking forward to, and then you write what you want. My favorite thing I did this summer was, I'm glad to be back at school because, and the odd one out, my favorite food is, because it's fun to know what people's favorite foods are, so why not? All right, so that's an exercise, right? All right, and we can change it up, Ruth, and change what our favorite foods are anytime we want. Nobody knows, right?
No, you guys. I mean, to be honest, my favorite food does change every day. I don't really have a favorite. I've got about 30, so it's good.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this for a moment, and I'm going to be sharing now Express. Here we go. So I know this will look maybe similar to some of the folks who are using the new version of Express, but if you haven't used it, it's going to be kind of familiar, okay? But there's some things that have changed, and we'll point what those are out to you as we go, all right? But first things first, we're going to go over to this little plus sign over here in the top left corner, and when we tap on that, one of the things we can do is a quick action right here. So if we tap on quick actions, look at this right up at the top, animate from audio. This is the big one. Bam. And when we check this out, look at this. We all of a sudden have characters, okay? Now there are categories. If I go here to all, you're going to see a whole bunch, a boatload, if you will, of different characters, animals, people, weird creatures, and even food and emojis. All of these can be animated with just your voice. This is really fun. So what we're going to be doing is making a video that is a standard video format for YouTube or other video platforms. So the first thing you want to do is, before you go exploring all these characters, we'll get to that later, is we're going to go over to size. And we want to, where it says resize for, select YouTube, because this is going to give us our standard video sizes. And right here, you'll see landscape 1920 by 1080. Just tap on that. And now we've got our video size ready to go. Express is going to remember that. And here, if you go to background, okay, we have different categories here. If I go to all, you'll see a whole bunch of cool backgrounds. Now, any of these, if you were to just tap on them, it's going to add that background to your video, okay? But what we want to do is create our own backgrounds today, all right? And that's going to be really cool. So that's what we're going to do now, and we're going to return to this portion of the demo shortly, all right? So I'm just going to close out of here, and let's go to make a new file here, custom size. Now, see if you can remember the dimensions. Ruth, what were they again? Do you remember?
It was, I only remember because I type it in all the time. It was 1920, so 1920 by 1080, 1080.
Bingo.
Standard TV sort of size, isn't it?
That's our video size. There we go.
That's it.
And there it is. Super easy. Okay, now we're going back to school, but a lot of us just came from vacation. So I thought it'd be fun to do a background today, Ruth, of a beach scene. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, that's kind of where I want to be right now because it's so sunny outside. So let's go to the beach.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be at the beach, wouldn't it? Well, we're back at school, so here we're gonna create a little beach scene instead. All right.
That's great.
And then we can imagine that we're all there with whatever this crazy character is that we wind up creating here in the end.
Yep.
All right, now how am I going to do this? Well, I want to show you one of the cool things you can do with Express is work with simple shapes to actually create some kind of illustration. And I'm going to start by changing my background color. All right, so up here we have the option for background color. Just tap on that. Oh, and look at this. I have recommended colors already. How nice. I'm not sure how it knew I wanted something light.
Yeah, they're nice pastel colors.
Really pastel, really lovely. I could also just do something kind of surprising. And, a lot of times when you're doing art, you think sky, I'm going to do blue, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that's not how the sky always looks. In fact, I'm going to use this little pink kind of color. Very pale, very pretty. I'm going to start with that. All right, there's my background. Now, when it comes to shapes, if you go down here on the left, you'll see all of these different options for things you can search for. And this is where you're going to find your design assets. And I'm going to go to elements right here. And one of the options we have is shapes here on the right. And look at this. We've got circles of all kinds, ovals. I'm just going to grab a oval here and place it on the canvas. So by tapping on it, it just shows up right there in the center of my canvas. Zoom out a little bit. All right, now, when I tap on it again, I get what are called handles, these little guys on the outside, and I can resize and squash and do all kinds of fun things with this oval, okay? So you'll notice I'm going to make it really big, okay? And then I'm just going to move it down like this, right here. So that is actually going to be, believe it or not, my beach.
I was going to say it's starting to look like a little coastline or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'll pop that down there, but the color I think is a little off. So all I have to do is go over here to the fill, and we'll use a custom color. So here are the swatches, and here's custom, all right? And I'm just going to slide. This is called our hue slider. This is where all the colors change. See that? I'll move it over this away. And here you can control how bright the color is and how saturated it is, okay? So I'll move it about maybe like this. Now, everything I'm doing, you'll notice it's changing right here at the same time. So I can get a good look at what it's looking like there. Okay, I think that looks pretty nice. Maybe a little brighter. There we go. There's my sandy beach. And next, I'm going to do the water. Now, again, I'm just going to use simple shapes, really easy. So here we go back to our shapes, and I've got a bunch of rectangles here. I'll just grab this rectangle, and you notice it automatically uses the most recently used color there. And I want to do the same thing I did before, which is just squash it and then make it really big. So it's bigger than my canvas, right? And I'm going to pop it on down this way like that. Okay. Now I want to change the color. I want it to be water. So let's go to fill, custom color. I'm going to use a nice kind of a blue-green color like so. Something like this. Looks nice. Maybe a bit more blue. I like that. All right. And then I have to change the order of my layers. Your layers are over here on the right. Okay. Now, for those of you who've used Express in the past, you'll remember that all your options for changing things used to be over here on the right. Well, now they went to the left. Okay. Don't ask me why. I guess they just like it better over there. So they're over there. We have to change the order of our layers. If I grab right here, the circle or the oval, and just pull it up like this, look at that. It just pops right in front. Very nice. And then I can just take this same rectangle here, and I can duplicate it. And you'll see right here, you can duplicate any layer. So we'll just duplicate that. And that pops it back in front. And watch this. We're going to rotate it slightly like that. And just drag it over here. And now we've got water surrounding our little beach.
Brilliant.
Simple. Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. So next I'm going to start adding some things. I'm going to add some little clouds, okay? And I'm going to add a little palm tree over here. But Ruth, I can kick it over to you if you want to repeat this bit here.
No problem. So yeah, that's something we forgot to mention was so Kyle's going to show you a bit, and then I'm going to show you pretty much the same techniques. So if you miss something, you can watch it again, and it just also gives you time for your design as well, which is really nice. So I'm going to start off, and let's see if everyone can remember what the dimensions were for our project. So we're going to hit that plus, and we're going to go to custom size because we're creating our background. And if you remember, you're probably all shouting out, but it's 1920 by 1080 is our size that we want. It's just a really good, those are good numbers to remember because you do use it quite a bit when designing for things like this. So we have our lovely blank project. So if you remember, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick a nice sky sort of color background. So again, it must just recommend these colors as standard then, because I've got the same ones that you did. So I'm going to choose a custom color. I'm going to go for a bit more of a brighter blue sky, just to kind of give us a bit. That'll probably change depending on the other colors, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I've got my background changed. The one thing that we forgot, Kyle, and we keep forgetting is we need to rename our project. I know. When you were sitting, I was like, oh yeah, rename. We literally reminded each other 2 minutes before we went live. Don't forget to rename. So you want to make sure that you rename your project, because the problem is you're going to end up like Kyle and I and have about 30 projects that are all named untitled. Okay, so we're teaching you good habits by both being very bad at it. Okay, so we're not saying that we're better, we are terrible at doing this. So up in the top left, you're going to see it says untitled, and then it will be the date and the time that you created your project. If you click on that, you can just rename it, and we can call it like beach back to school or something, whatever one you're doing. If you're not choosing to do a beach, if you want to make something else, just call it back to school background. That makes it easy enough. And then you just hit enter or return or click away from it, and that's it renamed. And you can see it's renamed up here. Makes it really handy because when you download your image later, it will be called that rather than untitled, which most of my download folder is full of untitled, untitled. So the first thing we started, or Cal started off with, was finding that lovely little oval for our beach. So we're going to go to Elements, Shapes, and type in Oval. And we want to choose the filled in one. If we choose this one, it's only going to do an outline. So we want to choose the filled in solid black one. We're going to make it a bit bigger, and then using these little handles at the top and the left or right, you'll see they look a wee bit different. That's where you can squish it. It's just called squishing. We make it just a bit of a different size. Mine's still quite small, so I'm going to make mine bigger. Woo! And I'm going to move it down. I kind of want to go for a nice big beach. There we go, something like that. And then we also need to change the color. So over on the left, we can go to Fill, go to Custom, and then we can choose a nice, lovely yellowy beach color to kind of work with it. I don't want to go too bright because it won't stand out. That's the thing with choosing your background color first. You kind of have to choose the rest of your colors depending on how much it stands out. Yellow is a tricky one as well because you can go too bright, can't you?
Oh yeah, then you don't get any contrast. But here you get like
contrast. Yeah. So I'm going to go for this. It's kind of more of an orangey yellow. And then once you're happy with it, you just click off, and then you've got your lovely oval added in. And then the next thing that he did was he added in a rectangle to create our water, our ocean. That's the word. So we're going to choose the solid black rectangle. Always those solid colors if you want it nice and solid. Stretch it out. So we use these ones. Remember, the corners will resize or like scale it, and these will resize or reshape it. That's kind of the easiest way to remember. Position it down here, go to Fill. I'm going to choose like a nice water color, but I want to make sure it doesn't clash with my background because I've already chosen a blue background. So I'm just going to play around and see what I think works well. Quite like that. And then we need to order things because currently my water doesn't look super believable because it's slapped on top of the oval. So I'm going to, over on the right, I'm going to drag my little oval up, move it up there. And then we've got our lovely background. You can drag, I usually just drag it just slightly off the screen to make sure that it goes all the way over to the side so you don't get a little line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this, rotate it very slightly to create that nice angle. I'm going to need to move it up to rotate it, just the way my screen is. And then we're going to position it just down there so that we have a more believable coastline. That's kind of what we're looking for. You don't want to go too high or else it will overlap your line, your nice line above. Yeah, pretty happy with that. And that's kind of where we're at. So I think that's everything. Now you're starting to add in the wee elements, aren't you? for the thing. So yeah, so I've got my lovely beach as well.
Great.
Yeah, let's pass back to Kyle and see what else we can add in.
All right, well, here we are.
Ooh.
And you'll see that I've got some clouds there. So what you want to do to get those clouds is you want to come over here to elements, and search for the word cloud right there. So we come over here, we say cloud, and we get a bunch of different options, okay? Now, if you go to shapes, you won't find any cloud shapes. You have to make sure you're on design assets right there. And here you're going to have a bunch of different options, okay? Now, I like all of these. They're all pretty good, but the thing is, I want you to pick something that is a solid color, okay? You have cloud options that have different lines in them and different tones and all kinds of goodies. But what we want for today specifically is something really, really simple, like what I've got on the screen here. And some of them are a little hard to see because they're white on gray. Okay, but if you pick something like this, or something like this, or even this or this, you'll be in good shape, okay? Now, when I lay this cloud here down on the canvas, because it's a graphic and not a shape, one of the things you'll notice is that you'll say, hey, wait a second, how do I change the color of this thing? So this originally was just a black shape. The way you do it in Express is you go over here to Effects. And here you have options for colorizing, see that? Or duotone. Now what I do is I click on duotone and I just select white for the shadows. And because it's a black shape, by selecting white, it colors the whole thing white. I know that's a little bit of a weird way to do it.
It's great. It's a good trick, though. It's a good tip because it's like you don't have to stick with the original colors. That's what I really like.
So for solid colored graphics that you get that are design elements, if you need to recolor them, this is how you do it, all right? Then you go again into Effects, and then Duotone, and change here where it says shadows and swatches and all this. Just go ahead and select white, or if you want to use a custom color, you go over here and use your custom colors. So I've got 4 of those, and the way I did that was, as before, you remember with the water, we had a rectangle and we duplicated it. So I just duplicated my cloud 3 times to make a total of 4 clouds. That's a little bit of math for you there.
Yeah.
And hey, Ruth, by the way, what did the science book say to the math book? I'm sorry, we can't be friends anymore because you have too many problems. All right.
That's pretty good.
Here we go. Back to the work. Okay, so now I've got my clouds, and my idea is to just add a palm tree over here in the right, just to kind of do something with this corner.
Where are you thinking of putting your character, by the way?
What's that? Oh,
where are you thinking of putting your character?
I'm thinking of putting the character right here.
Right on the beach.
Right
yeah.
On this spot on the beach. Yeah, right there. That's why I've got a kind of like an open area right there.
With a little gap. Yeah.
Exactly. They're thinking ahead, you know. So here we're going to type in palm tree. Palm is P-A-L-M. One of those weird words. You can't explain.
No. The English language. Yay.
There you go. I kind of like this one. It says isometric tree palm. Okay. Well, let's bring that over here. Now, I'm not going to use the trunk of the tree. You might think, well, I think I could put it over here, do this, you know. That could look nice, whatever. And it'd be fine. But what I really want to do is I want to just have those leaves popping in off the top right corner. I'm going to rotate it a little bit and make it a lot bigger like this and just drag it off the canvas like that.
Nice.
And this way, I have a nice little element there in the corner that's kind of cutting off a pathway out of my design composition. So it keeps the viewer sort of in the zone where you want them to look. But they can't escape that way. And then you might say to me, yeah, but what about over here? They can escape that way. And I would say, yeah, but they have a pathway through the clouds to kind of meander and walk. And walk their eyes through and find stuff that's interesting. Plus, we're going to have text in there. So that's going to grab their attention. All right, so there we go. Now I've got my little palm tree. Lovely. And now it's time for me to think about the character and the words. So you remember the prompts we had? We had 4 prompts. This year I'm looking forward to, et cetera, et cetera. So the thing I need is text, right? So let's go ahead and we'll just add some text. If I tap on text, you have all kinds of options that are pre-designed. These are our presets. But I just want to add my own text right here at the top. So there we go. All right, I'll resize that right out of the gate. It's way too big. And let's move it over here. And the first prompt was?
This year I'm looking forward to, yeah.
Word 2. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I'm looking forward to. Learning more about lizards. All right, now let's go ahead and let's change the line breaks there, make it smaller. And I'm actually going to make it smaller than the cloud and leave some space down here because afterwards we're going to add some animated elements here. We're going to add some pictures that move and wiggle. And that's going to be really easy to do. But I also think that this text, honestly, is kind of boring. So I love going in here where I can get recommended fonts from Express. And I think, frankly, any of these would be more interesting. Like, let's take a look at that. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I have all kinds of options. Let's take a look at that. Well, that's kind of cool. I don't know. This is where we get into trouble, right? Because we start to pick, there are too many options.
Yeah, there's always too many options of fonts, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. All right. And now I'm going to duplicate that text and just drag it around where I want it. And for those of you who want to be pros, okay, so I know some of you out there want to go to the next level. You don't always have to come over here and use the duplicate icon or button, okay? You can actually use your keyboard, and these are called keyboard shortcuts. And if you want to duplicate something, if you're on an Apple computer or a Mac, you can hit Command and then the letter D. And if you're on a Chromebook or a PC, you hit Control and then D. So if I do that, look, it just automatically copies what I've got. And I can do that several times and just slide it on over. Voila. There's your little pro tip for the day.
Okay? Yeah, good tip.
And then I can just change these to read what we had on the prompts. So my favorite, almost did the American spelling there. I got to watch myself. My favorite thing I did this summer was, and I'll leave it to you to decide if this is true or not, hang glide over a volcano. Well, maybe that happened. You don't know, right?
I like to believe it happened, yeah.
Okay, great. Yep. And then next we have, I'm glad to be back in school. Because, and for me, that would be, I love art classes. I hope all of you have art classes out there. If not, do some art at home. And finally, my favorite food. My favorite food is frittatas. Because I love to say frittatas. Okay. And that's called a widow. If you have one word, okay, that's all by itself on its own line. I had the same problem with that volcano. You can do this. You can just go back and see that? I put the is down there. And then here I can take that and put the A down there. And that just makes it a little less lonely. Okay, so I've got my text. And Ruth, you want to pick it up there?
Yep, no problems. So again, you can access those questions just by the little banner that's going down at the bottom of the screen there. On that page. What I did was I went and got a background for my background because I wanted it to be like dusk or, you know, like sunrise, sunset.
That looks so good.
It looks really nice. Like a background kind of makes it look a bit different. And then all I did was I used the wee dropper tool for the fill to pick out that blue, so my ocean kind of color fit, because the blue that I had kind of didn't stand out. But anyway, so this is just what happens when Kyle's working and I'm like, what else could I do? So,
I love it. I love
yeah.
it.
So I'm going to go to design assets again. We're going to look up cloud, and we're going to see what kind of clouds might fit in my background here. So what I might do is I might go for, it's quite hard. This is where I'm like, oh, I don't know what cloud to go for. I think I'll just go for a standard cloud. I quite like this one, but it might be too much detail because we're putting text on it. Isn't that the problem? You need to pick something a wee bit more plain. Um, just for that. So I'll go for the classic cloud shape. Like if I was to draw one, that would be that. And again, I don't want it to be black. I do actually want it to be a color. So I'm going to do the same trick that Kyle showed you. I'm going to go to effects with the cloud selected. I'm going to go to geotone. And I think I might go white as well. I think white just stands out better, doesn't it, with the text?
Looks good.
And we'll go for that. And then I'm just going to resize them so that I have 4. So I'm going to use the Command or Control D. Again, you can click on it and hit that little duplicate at the top there. And we are going to just rotate these so that they're different sizes. Again, we want to leave this over on the right for our little character that we're going to add in. The other way you could do it is you can flip these if you want them to look a bit different. Problem is mine's symmetrical, so it's not going to look any different at all. But that's how you could kind of play around and see how your 4 clouds might look a bit different. And again, I'll just go for something like this. So you can play around with that and see. There's lots of different options available. That's going to be my food one. But anyway, yeah, I'll probably spend forever just rotating and positioning these, but that's fine. That's perfect. That does the job. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my palm tree first before I start adding in my text as well. So I'm going to go to Elements, Design Assets, and I'm going to search palm tree. Kyle choose that one, which is really nice. I'm going to go for maybe a bit of a silhouette sort of look, maybe. Just against that background might look pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, I have the same issue in that I'm just going to rotate it so I only get these branches. And I'm just going to move that off the screen. And it almost looks like someone's head kind of poking in, like some hair. But I quite like that. It's just because I don't want these little waves at the bottom. So I might just go like that. It does look like a Muppet or something is like leaning into the shot, but I think it looks like a palm tree. It's fine.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And so that's great. I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to go to my text. Again, you can look through all of these little pre-made texts, but because we're just going to keep it nice and simple, I'm just going to hit add your text. And then I'm going to type in this year I'm looking forward to, and I do think it's quite a good idea to type in your idea or like what you're looking forward to, because when it comes to recording it, it's nice to have it in front of you, isn't it? I didn't do that last time and I got confused as to what I was saying. So I kept it a secret, like, ooh, it's a surprise. And I'm like, no, I made it so much harder for myself. And I'm going to choose a nice chunky font. You can look through. Sometimes the fonts take a wee while to load, and you'll notice that some of the fonts have this little arrow beside them. I'm going to click on that arrow, and that just gives me different variations of the same font. It's a font family, so I'm going to go nice and thick. That's a nice different weight. Oh, I did it again. Sometimes I have a letter selected rather than the box, and I keep forgetting about that. Whenever you go to change it. There we go. Always, every time. Hey! So I'm going to go for that. This year I'm looking forward to. Just thinking my clouds look quite blue, but I think it's more just the against the background. But sure.
I don't think they have to be white. I think they look good like that.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I'm actually going to put my text at the bottom because there's a flat bottom on my clouds. So I'm going to leave it like that. So I'll put my image at the top. And then I'm just going to duplicate my text, same as what Kyle did, so that we have this. Oh, Kyle, do you know what I've just noticed? Do you want the wee banner at the bottom?
Yeah, shall I take care of that and get rid of it?
Yeah, maybe, just because you guys all know how to find the screen or the page now. So we've got my favorite thing I did this summer was kayaking, because that's awesome. And again, we don't want that little word on its own, so I'm going to try and stick to these 2 lines. And again, just take your time positioning your text. You want to make sure your text is legible so people can read it. That's probably the most important thing. It's nice to play around with all of the objects and stuff, but we want this text to be able to be read.
Yeah, if you can't read it, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's not how you spell because. Whoops, because that's not how you spell it either. There we go. We'll get there eventually.
I wish we could have the students and the teachers out there just yell at us and say, spell it like this.
I can hear them in my mind. You guys, you can shout at us. Again, it's the same as if you pause us. We know we can sense it, you know. Gosh, this rotate is just being, there we go, just a wee bit tricky. And then
Sometimes
finally,
it snaps when you don't want it to.
what is it?
Sometimes it snaps when you don't want it to.
Yeah, and then it freezes. Like once it snaps once, it's like, oh, this is where you want it, and I'm trying to move it, and it doesn't do it. And my favorite food is donuts. There we go. And I'm going to put that just on a different line.
I told you, Ruth, I used to do a lot of work for Krispy Kreme donuts as a designer.
So good.
It was
not jealous at all. See, over in Northern Ireland, we don't actually have a Krispy Kreme.
Oh, no.
So every time we go anywhere, I think we're getting one. I think one's coming to Belfast, but anytime we go anywhere, I'm always like, Krispy Kreme. Gotta get my donut fix. But yeah, so again, this just gives you hopefully enough time to get caught up. So I've got my little palm tree, I've got my clouds with the words of the different things, and I've left a space for my character. And I think that's everything that you'd done, Kyle. Yes, that's everything. I think we're just going to add in a couple wee fun elements now, aren't we?
Indeed. Yes, we are now. What we're going to do is I'm going to add, while you've been doing your design work there, I took inspiration from you and I went ahead and changed the background a little bit. It's a little more interesting, and put some waves. Just use the search criteria wavy line. That's all I did. Nothing fancy. Selecting that, I can remember duplicate it. And another pro tip for you is if you want to use the arrow keys on your keyboard, you can move things around in little bits like that, right? Yeah. And if you hold down the shift key while you use the arrows, you're going to move things in larger chunks, so to speak.
Nice. So now it'll just like do big jumps. Oh, that's good. That's handy.
Yeah, it's that way you're not having to, you know, hit the arrow key 400 times to move it. So
yeah.
And that really
undo as well.
Exactly. That really works nicely. All right, I don't need more of those. So in fact, I'm not sure. I'm feeling kind of like maybe even that's too much, but let's see how it looks. Part of being a designer is being nice and picky. So, you know, and you can change all this stuff with the effects. Remember, you can go and you can use duotone like that, just to bring in a different color. That's kind of nice. And usually Express will do something fairly intelligent and suggest a design color that looks good and kind of works with everything else you're doing, which is really kind of nice as well. But the next thing I want to do is just throw a little crab right there. So again, all I have to do is search for it. Just say crab. And here we go. Look at this guy. Oh, right away. I love him. Pop him right down there. Perfect. Oh, he's great. I can have his claw overlap that cloud just a little bit. I think that looks good. Angle him a little like that. So he's on the beach. And again, hey, let's do something fun. First things first, I'm going to take this and I'm going to lighten it up just a hair because it's starting to kind of get lost with that water. There we go. It feels a little better. But let's go ahead and do something, another kind of pro thing here. I'm going to zoom in and let's take the crab and let's throw a little shadow under him. So how would you do that? Well, here we have our beach. All right. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and use another one of these ellipses, okay, or rather ovals. If I go to my shapes, we'll get rid of crab there. Back to our very basic shapes, and we have our circles and our ovals. They're loading in here for a sec. I believe it was that one, or maybe that one. There we go. So I'll get rid of this guy. And we're going to take that and just pop it under the crab here, stretch it out. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then just drag it under the crab or drag the crab above it. There we go. And here's that thing you can do with opacity. Remember opacity?
Mm-hmm.
Just slide that down.
Oh.
And there we've got a little shadow under our crab. And that's just a fun thing you can do to sort of make something feel like it's there in the environment, to kind of ground it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there we go. I think that feels pretty good. And I think it's time now to move on to the next phase. Now, what we could do is we have a bit of time, right? I think we've got, how much time do we have here? Maybe another 30 minutes or so?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 30. Yeah. 35, I think. Yeah.
Hopefully everyone's following along. Remember, you can always pause. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this image as a background. And it's as simple as making it a PNG. So right here, I'm going to say download, and it says file format PNG, say download, and boom, that's as simple as that. And that's just going to send it somewhere on my machine, on my computer, wherever it's gone to where my downloads are. For most people, that's the downloads folder. And now that I've got it saved, I can go over here to the little A, go back to the home page, and you'll remember that we want to do an animation from audio, and that is a quick action right here with the little pluses. Quick actions, animate from audio. And that's going to take us back to our animate from audio scene, okay? And the first thing I'll do is go right here to background, and I have this option to upload an image. So let's go to my downloads folder and the most recent beach scene 2. Let's go ahead and pop that in and check it out. There it is. Beautiful. There's our background. And now all I have to do is find a character that I like for the animation. I have tons of options here, but there's one I really like called Finn, who just so happens to be roughly the same color as the crab. And you can take your character and place him anywhere you want. I'll put him right there. There we go. And now it's time for me to record my voice. So when I do this, if I were in a loud room, if I were in a classroom like all of you, you may wish to use the enhance speech option. You can toggle that on right here. And that is going to cut out some of the background noise and make your voice a bit clearer, okay? So bear with me. I'm going to read out what I've got in these little clouds here, and I'm going to use a really goofy voice. Here we go. Hi, I'm Kyle. This year, I'm looking forward to learning more about lizards. I'm glad to be back in school because I love art classes. My favorite thing I did this summer was hang glide over a volcano. My favorite food is frittatas because I love to say frittata. All right, now I stop recording, and you'll notice here there's a little animation. It says hang tight, just generating your preview. So you wait for that to happen. And while that's happening, I'm going to kick it over to you, Ruth.
Yep.
What you're doing.
Yep. So all I've done is I've just added a little orca wheel over here and then added a little water splash. So it looks like it's jumping out because, you know, why not?
That's great.
And I found a nicer palm tree that actually looks like a palm tree and not the top of a Muppet head.
Oh, very good. Is that a sandcastle?
Yeah, I searched crab and this little crab came up with a little sandcastle. So I was like, how can you not?
Of course.
So I got to do it. So what I was thinking was I might actually go in here and change my sand, my beach, to kind of match it. So
fantastic.
It kind of sticks in. So again, you can constantly change things and play around with things. But yeah, pretty happy with that. And I still have room for my little character. This is all just background for it. And I just changed the color of my text. I used the little dropper tool to pick out colors of the
That looks good.
background. Yeah, just nicely blended. So again, because we've got it nicely named, I'm going to go to download at the top, and I'm going to go to PNG download. And that's just going to download into, or it's going to pop into your downloads folder. Again, we're both on Mac, so ours might look a wee bit different than yours, but that's okay. And then now I've finished, I'm going to hit back. And again, like Kyle showed you, we're going to go to the plus symbol. We're going to go to quick actions and animate from audio, or you can type it in here if you can't find it, but we're going to do animate from audio. I'm going to choose my background, as a little football person. I'm going to go to upload an image. I'm going to go to my downloads, and there's my background. Oh, wait, that was before. This is my background, and I'm going to hit open. Somebody's making a weird noise in my office. I'm not sure what it is. It sounds like a hissing noise. And
It's probably just a bear. Don't worry about it.
yeah, it'll be fine. You guys, you let me know. I'll just like disappear off the screen. Happy with that. We're going to go to size, go to YouTube, make sure it's that, because what will happen is if you don't have that size changed, your background goes in, but you can't fully see it. So again, we want to choose YouTube and landscape. And then I'm going to go to character. Now this is where I'm like, who would be on like, see, I see this as more of a desert island sort of style than the beach. I kind of love the monster vibe, you see. Anything that has cool shoes, I'm like, I love anything with cool shoes. Again, while we're talking, you guys can turn us down a wee bit if you need to record your audio. We're just doing this to help you out, to give you a bit more time. I did really like this little Steve guy, because I just like the idea of him talking, or, you know, this little Steve guy talking with my normal voice. Kyle did a very good, silly voice. I'm just going to record as myself because I'm not very good at that.
Or also, you're not into being totally embarrassing.
No, I like, it's fine. I love it. It's just I know I'm not going to be very good at it. That's all. Hard. I kind of love this little Muppet person.
Although cool
it is cool. Although you'll notice his little ear kind of gets lost because of my background.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one of the only downsides to that. I think I'm going to go for something really silly. Let's go for nope. I know this is where you guys are probably experiencing the same thing. I'll go for I need to pick something. I'm going to go for this superhero.
Oh, she's great.
She is great. I'm just wondering, there's no way to flip her so she's looking that way, is there?
If you drag from the right side and drag across, will it flip? No, it'll just resize.
Yeah, it's a good thing to know, because I'm not going to pick her because she's facing the wrong way. So some of
the good news is I work for Adobe, and I can tell them, hey, let's make sure you can flip the characters.
There you go. See, that's great. This is what this whole session's about, is me going, hey, could we flip the characters? Oh yes, there's a pirate, isn't there? We were saying.
I think there is a pirate. Oh, so perfect.
Oh, why am I being, I cannot see the pirate. There. Oh
yes.
Fits perfectly.
Look at that pirate. I love it.
So I'm just gonna move him over so you can see the whole pirate.
That's great.
See, that's where you have to do a voice. But again, I find it really funny to see this pirate, and then it's just this little Northern Irish, hello.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to hit, I don't need to hit enhanced speech. So enhanced speech is a really good little option, as was said, for noisy classrooms or noisy rooms. I'm not going to have that. So I'm just going to hit record. You've got roughly 2 minutes. So I'm just going to read out my little speech bubbles. Hello, my name's Ruth. This year I'm looking forward to Halloween. My favorite thing I did this summer was kayaking. I'm glad to be back at school because I love music class. And my favorite food is and always will be donuts. Yum, 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 yum. Give me those donuts. Done. See? So it's going to upload and you'll get these little doodles. It might take a wee bit longer depending on your internet connection, but just be patient and wait for it, I think, isn't it? Kyle, has yours loaded then?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'll pop over to mine.
You pop over.
And while I'm going to first show you, we're going to open this in the editor.
I love it.
I'll go ahead and say open an editor, and then we'll pause for just a minute or so and let you all do your voiceovers if you want. I'll put some little bit of music on, and then we'll carry through to the end and we'll be good to go. So you want to say open an editor. And by doing this, you're going to see something new here in Express, and that is our beautiful video timeline right down here. Okay. And I'll play this really quickly and you'll see how it works with the animation. Okay. Hi, I'm Kyle. This year, I'm looking forward to learning more about lizards. I'm glad to be back in school because I love art classes. My favorite thing I did this summer was hang glide over a volcano. My favorite food is frittatas because I love to say frittata.
I love the wee bubbles that are coming out of the mouth.
It's a really funny touch.
It is.
Hats off to the engineers who did all this. So that's it. Now I'm going to be adding some little bits and pieces here for each of those phrases. And before I do that, though, we'll just pause for a moment, let you all record. I'll put a little bit of quiet music on in the background if you want to turn that down. And then Ruth and I will just chat for a sec, and then we'll bring you back and we'll carry on through to the end. So just put a little music on. I know which one it was that Dom told us is so perfect.
The ducks, something ducks. Feeding the ducks, that's it. It's a classic. Nice. So, see the wee character you've picked? Is that like a stop motion style character, like plasticine, or?
I know it looks like it, but it's actually drawn in Photoshop, and it's got some nice rendering on it for lights and darks, and it does really kind of have that look. It's supposed. I was told by the Adobe folks who worked on all these characters that it's supposed to be a narwhal.
Okay.
Which
it's more like a goldfish with a big spike, isn't it?
Absolutely, because narwhals don't have mouths like that, and this is all. They just call it the narwhal, I think. But anyway,
I love it. It's so cool. It's like a little punk rock goldfish, or something.
And it's aquatic, so whatever. Yeah. And I love that the color is close enough to the crab that they just kind of fit nicely together.
I know, and I love how the crab is just like just watching this narwhal talk about how they hang glided over a volcano.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if we had more time, it'd be great. You could, and I know that everybody out there can do this, but you could do things like on the sand. You could add little dots, and some shells. Sure. There's so much. And the other nice thing is that even though we've already made this animated character and we have a background, we can still, because we're on a canvas in Express, we can still add stuff now. You don't have to get it all done up front. So if I wanted to go play around with some things and add some details, still could totally do that.
So good.
Yeah. All right. So I think hopefully everyone's had some time to do a little recording. I hope they used the little feature there where you can turn off a bit of the background noise, enhance the voice, etc. If they wanted to. But now we're going to go to the next phase. So I'll kick that off, and you'll see it's really, really easy to do this. And it's surprisingly easy, in fact, which is one of the things I love, is that you could add animations so fast. All right, so here we go. We're going to now, for the first one, this year I'm looking forward to learning more about lizards. Add a lizard and then animate it. Okay, so I'm going to just type here lizard. All right, and then we're going to probably see thousands and thousands of results. Here. All kinds of photos. We'll go to view all. And we're going to have probably some iguanas in there, some chameleons, and all kinds of things. It says 169 results for lizard. That's a lot of choices.
That is a lot.
Some of them are taking a minute to load. I'll just go ahead and grab this guy and pop him right there. Now, the first thing I want to do is remove that background, which is so easy. You just tap on remove background. And because it's not a white background, it should only take a couple of seconds. Actually, I was trying to remove the background of the video. We don't want to do that. We want to remove the background for the lizard. And that'll take a few seconds. And there you see that right there. I can resize him, have him pop out of the cloud just a little bit. It's a bit more interesting if his legs are popping out.
Nice.
Here comes the really fun part. We're going to animate the lizard. We go down here to where it says animation. Okay. And you have three options. In means you're animating it into the scene. And you have different ones you can hover over here and try. You have drop. That looks kind of fun. Shrink. Rise. etc. But this is the one I really like. It's called Pop. See that? It pops.
Mm-hmm.
And you can then, when you select it, change how long it takes for that animation to play and change how intense it is. And you have these other options too, soft pop, etc. I'm going to reduce the intensity a bit so it's not too distracting. And under looping, you're going to have other things that it can do. Okay. Right now it's spinning around, which looks a little weird. We'll go ahead and change that to something like maybe Bob. There's Bob. And once again, I can reduce the speed of that, reduce the intensity so it's not too crazy. And then he just does that. And for each of these other things that I've written, I can do the same thing. So for example, for art classes, okay, I can go here again to search. And I can do, let's try paintbrushes. Or paintbrush, we'll try that. See what we come up with. Once again, we have photos. I can go to photos. And bear with me, I'm sorry that, of course, you're not seeing all the results right now, and it's just because Express is going a little slowly. If I want to, this should be saved, and I should be able to rename it just to be a really good student, right? I'll do beach animation. But here are my paintbrush options, and I can tap on paintbrushes, and we'll put those over here. And maybe I want to flip those, right? If you want to flip something, tap on it. And right here, you have options to flip it just like that. Rotate it, make it a bit bigger. Pop that right over there. And then again, same as before, just remove the background. And that'll think for a few seconds and it'll knock out the white that's there. Voila. Easy, easy. And then again, come down to animation. You have options for animating it in. This time I think we'll do a grow, just like that. I love it. And then we can go ahead and we'll keep, I think the duration there is actually quite good. I'll leave that as is. And I'm going to carry on doing this for each of them. Now, here's the key. I don't want them to all come in at the same time. All right. So this is the big lesson we're going to have today about how to use the timeline, which is where you have your different moments, okay, of action in your animation. So if I tap, for example, on the chameleon or whatever this lizard is, I don't see it down here in my timeline, but all I have to do is where it says show layer timing, just turn that on and oh, check it out.
There's your little lizard. Yeah.
So what I do is I scroll ahead until I hear myself say lizards. Oh, lizard. Hear that? Lizards. Oh, and I take this left side and just pull it over. Forward to learning more about lizard. And I see where the timeline is there, and I just pull about there, just before it. So the time lizards. There we go.
Nice.
Same thing for each of them. If I tap on the paintbrushes, watch what happens to my timeline. Same thing. I can now see the paintbrushes. Scroll ahead. Classes. In school because I love art classes. Art classes. And that's what you have to do. Now you want to make sure that it goes all the way to the end of your video. So don't go over here to the right and pull this way unless you wanted it to disappear for some reason in your video. All right, so I'll kick it over to you, Ruth, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah. So again, my little animation, I hit show in or open in editor, and we've got this. So hopefully you can hear it. Hello, my name's Ruth. Yeah. This year I'm looking forward to Halloween. My favorite thing I did this summer was kayaking. I like how the pirate is just pointing with its hand the entire time. I'm glad to be back at school because I love music class. Nice. And my favorite food is and always will be donuts. Yum, 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 yum. Give me those donuts. That was a good animation for the end. So yeah, excellent. So now I'm just going to enhance it. I have a few ideas of other things I might add in. I was tempted to, I didn't get time to add a crab. So I was tempted to add a crab and animate it back and forward maybe a wee bit.
Oh, cool.
And I'm not sure because I did add my whale in, but we'll add these pictures in first. So the first one we're going to do is Halloween because I'm very excited. I love Halloween. I love scary movies. I love the time of year. It's really fun decorating your house and stuff. So,
me too. Have you seen Coraline? Isn't that a great movie?
Oh, such a good movie. We actually have a little board game that's based on Coraline. That's really fun. It's really hard, but it's fun because you have to like stay away from, you know, the mother and stuff. So
Oh, I
it's
think I have to buy that.
yeah, it's great. It's really good. And you're like, you collect little buttons as well. So I'm going to just type in Halloween into my design assets, because this is where I get to decide what sort of image I would like to represent Halloween in my project. So I don't know. I mean, obviously you kind of think of pumpkins. So I'm tempted just to type in pumpkins. I love carving pumpkins. I wouldn't carve these wee faces. I love carving, like, you know, a TARDIS, or, you know, like a
Oh, yeah.
Harry Potter. But I mean, it takes so long and it's so much effort. So I bought a pumpkin that you can just paint. So I just repaint it every year, like a ceramic one.
That's a
I'll
good
choose
idea.
this little, yeah, I'll choose this little pumpkin. It's nice for, you know, sustainability too. I'm just going to rotate this little jack-o'-lantern little pumpkin. It's kind of cute. I like it. I'm going to just position it where I want it to be. Just probably just off center actually. And
Yeah.
then what I'm going to do is go animation. I'm going to choose in. I'm going to think a little pumpkin. I kind of like the tumble. It kind of looks like it's sort of just fallen into place. Might extend that. Don't know if you can hear my dogs just barking outside. That's great.
Oh.
The postwoman must be there. His arch enemy, you know.
Yes, it's funny.
It's just giving off. Then I'm going to go to looping, and I'm going to think what would be cool to have for Halloween. Now the flicker can be quite distracting, would be the only thing. I quite like this little jitter. And then the intensity is how much it moves. So again, if you want it to be a bit more subtle, you can drag that intensity down, or you can put it up. And if you let go, it'll give you a preview. That's a wee bit crazy, I think. Yeah, about there is pretty good. I'm happy with that. And we don't need to do out, because we want this to stay up the whole time. Again, you can if you want. And while I've got my pumpkin selected, I'm going to turn on that show layer timing. So I'm going to crop this as to where it starts. Hello! So I'm just going to scroll through. Forward to Halloween. So just before that is when I say Halloween. And then I'm just going to position it and then double check. This year, I'm looking forward to Halloween.
Nice.
My favorite thing I did this summer was kayak. So kayaking. So I'm actually going to move my playhead first. Thing I did this summer was just for a wee difference right there. And then I'm going to go to elements. I might actually go to media. I'll search the photos, because I think there's nicer photos of kayaking. I'm going to grab this little woman here. She looks like she's having a good time. Sunglasses, you always got to do it with sunglasses, you know.
Nice.
And I'm going to select the picture, and I'm going to click on remove background, and Adobe's going to work its magic. Those magical people that invented that algorithm. So it actually worked really well.
I can't believe it. It even kept the oars. It understood what you wanted to get rid of. Crazy.
It's crazy. And the cool thing is, because it kept the oars, it makes it really interesting, because it's wider than my speech bubble, or not my speech bubble. I keep saying speech bubble, my cloud. So what I can do is I can just position this, maybe make it slightly smaller so it doesn't get cut off. And then I can go to down at the bottom. I'm going to drag it so it begins where I want it to. Remember, I already placed my playhead. And then I'm going to go to animation. You'll notice there's a lot of repetition. So the good thing is Kyle and I are going to just walk you through each one, because we've got time, and it gives you guys time to get caught up and do your own stuff. So I'm going to choose drift.
Nice.
But I don't want it to come in that direction, because the kayak's going forwards. So you'll notice with some of these, you can change the direction. So I'm going to choose this direction so it looks like it's coming in, which I think looks a wee bit better.
Great idea.
Yeah, or up. I mean, up looks okay too, but I quite like left. So that's the good thing. You're not stuck with what direction they come in. I really like the way it gives you that option. And then looping, I mean, I have to do bob, because it looks like it's rowing on the ocean. I kind of feel like the little kayak should be at the bottom on the water, but we'll stick with here, and I'll make that intensity a bit lower so that it's, or maybe, oh my goodness.
Now she's going over some rapids.
Yeah, I know, it's like full rapids. We'll keep that nice and low. There we go. Lovely. and we'll keep the speed a bit lower so that it kind of drifts a bit more. Again, that subtleness is really good. Was kayaking. I'm glad to be back at school because I love music. There we go. So we can pass it back and forth, Kyle, if you want, or I'm happy enough, whatever you want to do. I'm just
there is something I do want to show everybody, which is cropping, because I think that's something people often forget you can do. So I'll go ahead and show you that really quickly. Now I've got my other elements are in place. They're ready to go. All right. You'll see that I've got my lizard, I've got the volcano, all these things are fine. But here I've got now for the frittata, a photograph. Problem is that the photo is a rectangle and I just want to show the frittata. Now, if I try remove background, it might do a good job, but a really simple thing I can do as well, it's good to have options, is I can tap on the photo and right here we have the option to crop it. And you can crop it with a really traditional rectangle, simply change the top edges and the left and right and bottom. But instead, I'm actually going to use a shape. So I'll wait for a moment. Adobe's going to load some shapes here in the app, and there's going to be, hopefully, here it comes, a circle. And since this is a top-down photo of a frittata, and it's a circle, I can simply tap on the circle. And if you look over here on my canvas now, I'll zoom in a bit, you can see that I can resize this circle to fit perfectly.
Nice.
With the plate, yeah. And now I've got my frittata in the plate cropped. Now, if I tap off anywhere on the canvas again, you'll see what's happened. It's now just cropped that. Now, it doesn't mean that the photo is gone. It's basically masking it. That's another word for it. And I can now just place it where I want. Put it over here. Maybe off to this side like that. And I'll check my timing. My favorite food is, there we go, frittatas. Okay, and then I just add the animation as before. So we'll do an animate in. I think maybe, I think I'll have it spin in. And then I'll have it continue to spin. So for
yeah, because it's a circle, so it'll look really cool, yeah.
That's right. So we'll just go ahead and keep it spinning. And I'll make sure the intensity is not too crazy. And there it is. And we can go ahead and test that now. My favorite food is frittatas, because I love to say frittata. There we go. And I'm pretty much done with, I mean, of course, there's more you could do, right?
Yeah.
That is the exercise in a nutshell for everybody there. And hopefully you figured out along with us how to do all this. And the final step is simply to share it. So I'll pass it back up over to you, Ruth, and we'll see how it goes with your progress. And then we can show them how to share it. And we're done for the day.
Yeah, I know. We're almost there. Hopefully all of you are following along okay, and you're creating your lovely back to school videos. What I love is I actually choose a ukulele for music class because, why not? And it ended up being palm tree themed. So it worked out really nice.
That's so perfect.
And again, I have to have my musical donut come in. So I'm going to do the exact same as what you did, I think, with your circle. So I think you had it spin in.
Yep.
So I'm going to spin it. I like that. And then I'm going to have it loop. But I think actually my spin might be a bit off-putting because of the, yeah. So the good thing is the last one is actually not on the screen very long at all. So I'm just going to hit delete on that because I've changed my mind, and I'm just going to have it, I'll have it yo-yo, sure. So I just need to move it up. Take the intensity down.
I'm not sure I understand.
There's my, Siri is not understanding what I'm doing, which is nice. And I will drop the speed down so it's a wee bit more subtle. There we go. And then I just need to, and then I just need to find my position. It'll be, there we go, pretty much right there. Crop it. And that's really
donuts. Yum, 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 yum. Give me those donuts.
So I'm just going to move it down a wee bit. And the last thing I wanted to do was I wanted to add in this little crab. And instead of animating it in, I want it to be there at the beginning. I'm going to just have this loop with the yo-yo, and I'm going to tell it to go back and forward.
Very
Something like that.
good.
And drop the speed down so it's maybe a wee bit slower. So it's just going to kind of move around while my project goes on. And I'm going to keep
I
that
think
the
that's so
entire
cool.
time. Yeah, I mean, it's about as you can't really control where it begins or where it ends, but that's what the intensity is. The intensity is how much it goes backwards and forwards. But I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it looks like the crab's like, eyeing me up, like we're gonna have a wee fight, or it's just really impressed with what I'm saying. So let's have a wee review of all of all of it.
Hello, my name's Ruth. This year I'm looking forward to Halloween. My favorite thing I did this summer was kayaking. I'm glad to be back at school because I love music class. And my favorite food is and always will be donuts. Yum, 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 yum. Give me those donuts.
So I'm pretty happy
Wow.
with that. It
That
looks
turned
really
out really well. I love
yeah.
it.
It's lovely. Like it's nice just having this, and it's a really great project that you can use in any sort of topic that you're doing as well. That's one of the best things about this. It's so flexible. Do you want me to show you? I'll show how to download then. If Kyle, if
Yeah,
you want to show how to publish to web, or actually, I'll show how to publish to web if you show the download
sure.
one.
I
So
think I think you should show how to publish it. Easier to share that way. Of course, if you download it, it's as simple as downloading it and it
yeah,
saves to your machine. But let's take a look at how to share it, and you can make a link.
yeah. So if we go share at the top, so again, don't forget we've renamed our project. So if I go to share at the top, I can click on publish to web. And what that's going to do is you can type in your fix your title if you want, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to click on publish link. And what that's going to do is that's going to actually create a design. You can see at the bottom it says publishing your design. So don't worry, it hasn't broken, maybe. Yesterday, sometimes with Adobe Express, because it's so new, you might find that it freezes at times or doesn't do something. Just hit refresh on it. Thankfully, everything is saved as you go. So it's not too bad. Yeah, mine seems to have decided,
Oh, there
oh,
it
there
is.
it is. Yay. And then so I can click on copy link. And then if I go to a new tab and I just paste in that link, then what's going to happen is it's going to open it up like a little video browser. And we've got the little video. Now it's not going to share because I have, oh no, there's the sign. You take it on. And you can see your lovely little thing. So that's how you can, oh, you can't see my tab. I just realized. Hold on, share this tab instead. Sorry, I was talking about something you couldn't see. So I've pasted it into a new tab, and this is what your browser looks like. It's very easy to share with friends, family, or teachers, or fellow classmates and things. So yeah, that's pretty much how to share with a link. I'll throw it back to you,
Perfect.
and then that's us almost done.
Really, really great. I love your color palette is what makes it. I think that's such a thing. We're talking about that up top is, you're tempted to do blue sky and so on, but the moment you put that sky color in and then
Yeah.
the water being purple, it just really made a
Changes
huge difference.
Yeah, it makes it like quite not. It just makes it more fantastical. Do you know, like that sort of a word, like very like interesting, different. Because yeah, I was going for the classic
Yeah.
blues, but it's nice. Yeah, the
Why we like
backgrounds
to
are
look at
lovely.
paintings and drawings too, because you have that freedom to play with color and make things a little more saturated, a little brighter than they are in real life. And I just think it
Yep.
looks great.
Thanks
So
very much.
that's it. That's the whole exercise, right? We've done it, and I hope everyone was able to follow along.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of minutes. So just to remind you all, check the email about getting your free stuff. Dom will be sending out an email just reviewing this. And then, yeah, excellent. You can also sign up for the next session. So because this is all new, we're going to be running more sessions in September or for our digital leaders. So make sure you follow the link below and you can sign up. And that is pretty much us. Thank you so much for joining us. We are finished a minute early. I know.
Do we get a prize?
Yeah, I feel like we do. And for those who've paused, hopefully you'll be rejoining us at some point. But yeah, so hope you all have a great weekend. Kyle, it's been great. Loved working with you. It was really fun. Loved all your ideas and tips and tricks for designs. They were great. And
Same here, Ruth. The cool thing about working with somebody with these kinds of things is you each give each other ideas and can just inspire each other along the way. It always makes things better. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And make sure, again, if you guys are sitting beside your classmates, share your work as you go. There's nothing better, because you might pick up, you're like, oh, that's a cool idea, and things like that. So yeah, so thank you all so much. That's us. And have a good weekend. Bye.
Good weekend, everybody. Bye.